All right, welcome to week 2 of our discussion about nutrition. We are interviewing another member and getting some different perspective on how to eat healthy, practically, and how to make some changes yourself. So week 2, I talked to Mary Overdorf, who follows a keto diet. So if you've ever had questions about this, hopefully we answer them here. Check it out. So, describe what you're doing, how you're eating.
So I've been keto now probably I'm kind of keto right now, kind of not.
Okay.
But I was keto all throughout the fall. So after summer vacation, after all of our trips, I decided that I needed to change some things, because ever since I went to an unlimited membership, I figured, why work hard in the gym, but then not hard at home? I felt like my workouts were being wasted because I wasn't doing the right things at home.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to just be strict and go the keto route, which is basically meat and vegetables. So
Okay.
like low carb, no carb, no sugar, all of that. So we kind of my husband and I both, we decided we're going to do it, and I did it for months, and that's kind of what I've been doing.
Okay. Now, are you generally like an all or nothing person, or are you better at finding moderation?
At this point, I knew I was all or nothing.
Okay.
After having 3 babies, I gained about 50 to 60 pounds with each kid.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't coming off like it did maybe with the first kid. So I knew that if I wanted to get back to me, and I needed to be stronger, my kids are really active, I need to be able to keep up with them, that I need to do something and do it.
Yeah.
So.
Other than exercise, like as far as nutrition, were you doing anything else with previous kids that did or didn't work?
I tried macro counting,
Okay.
and I tried that after number 2, and I was really strict with that, and it worked. I lost some weight, but it was so much work for me with counting and weighing and doing all of that I never got into the good habits.
Mm-hmm.
So that didn't work. So
Okay.
I needed something. And when you have kids, like you don't eat the right things, because for lunch you just kind of eat whatever is left over on their plate.
Yeah.
So it could be a peanut butter sandwich, goldfish, and then you realize by dinner time you've eaten hardly any protein, hardly any nutritional food. You've just snacked all day.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, and that brings up a good point. I think one of the big reasons keto can be really successful is that it prioritizes protein.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be eating that because you're kind of limiting the food groups you're eating anyway. That becomes a big part. Now, is that something you had ever done before? Like, did the macros force you to prioritize that a little bit, or have you had to in any other way?
I would not say macros did that, because I was still trying to get all of the carbs and the fat, whereas this, I think the main focus for me was my protein, because I've never eaten this much protein. And
Okay.
in your mind, you're like, oh, a lot of protein is going to make you bigger, not smaller, which it doesn't. And I try to eat my protein in weight. So that is what, especially recently, that I'm trying to up my protein.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I'm at. I try to eat a lot of protein, whether it's in my shake in the morning, which is just my powder, collagen, water. I don't do anything else. And then eggs, beef. We do a lot of beef.
Okay.
It's just, I eat a lot of meat.
Okay. And that's fine. I think you have to. Like, there's not really a way around it.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly red meat will get a bad rap depending on who you talk to. But if that's not where it's coming from, you're going to run yourself into bankruptcy trying to buy venison and bison meat all the time. Or you're going to be getting it from supplements, which, what's worse there? I'm not really sure. But and I think that's the huge difference. A lot of people will see, exactly like you said, thinking that protein is going to like make you this huge muscle-bound, rippling person, but it is so hard to overeat it.
Mm-hmm.
And generally, one of two things is going to happen. People are going to undereat protein, which means they're undereating everything, and they're not eating enough calories in general to support what they want to do. Or they're going to get not enough protein, and then they eat more fat and carbs because of it. So it's not that anyone's inherently bad, it's that balance is just a little bit twisted. So how are you getting that much protein? What have you had to do as far as habits, prep? Are there things that you do every day, every week to make sure you have that on hand, because it all needs to be cooked?
Yeah, I mean, the benefit of staying at home, I mean, I'm a taxi driver during the day, but I stay at home with my kids, and I cook a lot. So I make sure, now one mistake I did early on is I didn't have enough in the house. Like I'd have to go to the grocery store more than once in the week because I realized we went through our entire ground beef or all of our whatever patties or things like that. So I will always have the night before I make extra, because my husband does it as well. And so there's always leftovers for the day of. Like for lunch, I'll go home and have taco meat or, just something. And I always have hard-boiled eggs. I always keep eggs in the house, and so I'll always make sure I have hard-boiled eggs. I also make sure I have fatty things like cheeses. We eat a lot of cheese, which I have found it doesn't affect me. Mm-hmm. And even my husband, he was probably lactose intolerant prior to keto. Once we dropped on keto, even with dairy, like all of that's gone. It is. And what I've noticed when you eat a lot of protein, I'm full. So I'm not snacking on the other things that my kids may have in the house, because they're not keto. I mean, they eat what we eat for dinner, but they'll have the chips with their food, or they'll have, fruit. And last fall, I didn't eat any fruit.
Right.
So we did a lot of roasted vegetables.
Yeah, and that's another question too, because a lot of times if you're making a diet change, not everybody at home is on board. But Jordan eats basically the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He does.
And then I would imagine the kids are probably eating more meat than many other kids their age. But as far as how they're eating, how does that work with them? Are you having to make multiple things with every meal?
No. Whatever I cook, they eat. I'll add things like we'll make rice. They love rice. Okay. No, they are meat eaters. I mean, my little one, she knows when the smoker's on, and when the ribs come off, she goes at it. So she knows the word beef and meat and all of that. So no, they are meat eaters.
Okay, that's good. What has been the biggest challenge with keto?
At first, it was the lack of sugar. Because I am somebody that liked to drink a Coke. Mm-hmm. I always, my kids, I'd make cinnamon rolls and cupcakes or just pastries. I liked carbs and I like sugar, but I've dropped down. I know. I do coffee. I don't do coffee first thing in the morning, but when I do it, it's always with a sugar-free vanilla and a little bit of milk. So I've had to, and I don't drink black coffee. I have not gotten to that point. But it's the lack of sugar and carbs. That was the hardest thing. Okay. And you feel, when I first started, I felt sick. Like you kind of feel like it's called the keto flu, but you're detoxing all of what you're used to. And so I did. I had a headache and I just felt kind of sick. But since then, and I'm not saying I'm perfect keto now. Like there's, if Jordan and I go out, I will have a burger with a bun or I'll have the mashed potatoes. But I know that I need to get my protein in. So that to me is the most important thing, is just getting my protein in. And then everything else will just kind of follow through.
So has there been something that has become a substitute for sugar and carbs, or is it just not as much of an issue because
I don't crave it
in a new routine? Okay.
I don't crave it. I mean, even if I have, a drink that has a lot of sugar in it, it just doesn't taste as good because I don't need it. And I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not as desirable.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I know, at least for me, one thing that is going to keep me on track with anything I'm trying to do is because I'm thinking about that outcome. And if the outcome is going to be how you feel the next day or how you're doing in a workout or getting the results from that workout, it's a little bit easier to say, well, maybe I don't need that. And I'll save it for like a really special occasion.
Like a birthday.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't have to get all the questions at the birthday party about, why aren't you eating that cake? You can eat that piece of cake because you didn't eat anything last week that was... Yeah,
and you didn't eat it all day long. Like if I just had a day where I just ate whatever I wanted, I would feel awful. So yeah, it's not worth it.
Yeah, it's like a hangover. It's exactly what it feels like. Once you make a shift to some healthier stuff, you feel like groggy, slow, kind of run down the next day. Okay. Yeah, no, I think that's useful, and it's so tough with that too because it's not this super clear cut, tangible thing, and to kind of offer that is to someone who isn't doing anything and say, well, this is going to be your reward. That's not the most motivating thing in the world, but it for sure happens. I I can feel it too. That's real. But so why has it worked? Why do you think this approach has worked, either versus macros or just in general? What's good about this approach?
I think it's pretty basic.
Okay.
Like there isn't a whole lot of work to it. It's just an elimination. Like you just have to make sure you cook your meat and eat your vegetables, and that's it. Like you're not doing math, you're not measuring, you're not counting. It's basic.
Yeah.
So.
And I think, and I'm probably going to say this multiple times in some of these chats that we're having, it's the thing that you can continue to do that's going to work. It's not so much that this is the right way, this is the wrong way. It's, can you continue doing it for a year, 5 years, 10 years? And I think simplicity is huge. But I have another question too. This is totally off topic. Do you reheat steak?
Okay.
I struggle with that.
I don't have a microwave.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We're getting one soon, but when we moved into the new house, it's got some old school oven and there's no microwave. So, no. If we eat steak, and we do eat a lot of steak, my kids love it. We try not to get too much of it.
Okay.
Like, I have no problem reheating ground beef. Chicken, we really don't eat a whole lot. We call it the weak bird. Have you heard of it?
No, what's the strong
Chicken
bird?
Is a weak bird.
What's the strong bird?
Beef.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But if I have chicken, I'll reheat it.
Yeah, chicken and ground beef, no problem, but I always have this hesitation. I'm like, I'm not going to reheat like a steak. Or
no, because, if you eat a medium steak, then it's going to be really, well done.
Just curious.
No, I don't reheat steak.
Just asking.
No.
Maybe there was a trick I was missing.
No, you're not missing anything.
Okay, good. So, what adjustments have you made? So you mentioned you started off pretty strict, no fruit, not a lot of grain at all. Where are you now?
Okay, ever since the macro challenge, which I started and then I stopped.
Physical,
It was just too much going on. I have added fruit.
Okay.
But I'm adding like kind of not really low carb fruit, but no bananas. I'm not really eating apples. More of the pineapples, berry. I'm starting to add fruit, and it's a natural sugar, and it's very few carbs compared to a processed carb. So I'm adding some of that. I do take some supplements. I'm trying a few new things.
Okay.
Desecrated organs.
There you go. Well, you're not going to eat the real thing.
I'm not eating raw meat, and I'm not doing that. But I'm trying to see if I notice anything. Because after a while, I did feel like with just vegetables and meat, some of my energy levels were dipping. Okay. And so I'm trying to just play around with it. Because I'm content with where I'm at. I know what to do, and I'm just adding a few things in.
Okay. Now, I think that's another thing that's always going to happen. There doesn't have to be such a rigid follow every single kind of rule. Let's take a piece from here and then make it work for your lifestyle. I think that's a lot of the choice that people make with nutrition anyway. It has to match your lifestyle so you can see all these other people doing whatever. But if it doesn't work out, if you don't have the time to prep a whole bunch of meat for the week for you and your family, keto's maybe not going to work. No, I love to hear that you're working some things back in, that you are making some changes based on what you're seeing too. So was it just like low energy in general? Did you feel like you weren't able to put as much into workouts? What kind of drove the...
I just wanted to try something different because I lost 20 pounds in the fall. From summer, I'm down 20, which is great. I had a lot of baby weight. It's gone. And I don't know, I felt like I sleep well. Like I'm in bed by 8:30 at night. So it's not that I'm tired because I don't get sleep. It was just feeling like, maybe my body needs more carbs than somebody else. And so I'm going to get that from my fruit. And also, we're going into summer. It's when fruit tastes the best.
Yeah.
So, sure. The best ones are available. Just playing around and seeing if it's working.
Yeah. Does it satisfy a little bit of the sweet tooth, the sugar craving?
It does.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's what's really useful about it. Sometimes fruit gets a bad rap. This is like the question that drives me the most insane. Can you eat fruit? I heard there's a lot of sugar in fruit. Yeah, well, there's a lot of sugar and a lot of other things too.
Eating an apple is very different from eating a donut.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. Okay. Now, if people are thinking about going this route, first things, if they were going to get started, what suggestions would you have?
Get a smoker.
Okay.
Just kidding.
Okay.
No, I mean, just keep it simple. Like, we do Taco Tuesdays. Mm-hmm. Like, that's kind of what we do. We do tacos every Tuesday. I just put in a bowl. I don't do rice. And I keep it simple. We usually cook shrimp once a week. So Wednesdays are our shrimp days. My kids love that, and it's easy. So, I mean, you just don't make it hard, but also buy more than what you need. We now buy a lot from Costco. Okay. And we just keep it in our freezer until I remember that I need to thaw it prior, and then you eat it. I mean, or burgers on a grill, a skillet, grill, whatever. But make sure you enjoy it. Eat what you like. Mm-hmm. Don't try something that you're not going to like. So yeah, just keep it simple.
No, I think you hit a bunch of good points. The prioritizing protein is a huge one. I think that's one that more people miss than even realize that they're missing. Hopefully, those who did the Lazy Macros challenge are going to see that pretty readily. And then the other stuff, eating what you want and actually looking forward to it. So, if you're not a person who craves lots of meat and can live like that, it's not the approach for you. If you feel like you want a piece of fruit, have a piece of fruit. If you want to go have a burger with the bun, you have that. But you have your kind of framework that you always go back to. And I think that's what prevents a lot of people from even starting with anything sometimes, is they see that these guidelines are so incredibly rigid, and the initial thought is, well, I'm not going to be able to stick to that forever, so I might as well skip it. But no, tons of really great information. If people have any questions about it and how to structure it, okay to reach out to you? Yeah,
that's fine. Okay. And even stores, I mean, I try to avoid a lot of the like keto made bars and granola, and there's so much you can find, but if you need that, like, that's fine. Like, there is a bag of keto cookies that I will typically keep in the house just if I need like a quick little fix, and I'll just have 2 and it's done. They make stuff now, but it's not all great. So be mindful, but if that's what you need to help yourself, I mean, give it a try. Just make sure you're still eating all the other things that you need.
Exactly. It's laying the groundwork with the quality food, and then just like any other treat, the same way you would treat going out to dinner or having the birthday cake, those snacks should happen just as often.
Yeah, don't deny yourself.
Exactly. There you go. Cool. Well, anyway, I appreciate you chatting with me a little bit. Hopefully people will get a little bit out of this, and again, kind of highlight some of the basics that are going to be consistent with any kind of diet. But yeah, appreciate it.